Good morning, everyone. Is it me? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Is it me that I need to do? Good morning, everyone. Am I on? I'm on. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. If I could just ask everyone to take their seats, please. Good morning, Ottawa business leaders. I am Kara Higdon, the Director of Business and Community Partnerships at the Ottawa Board of Trade, and I'm very pleased to co-present this morning with the amazing Michael Curran, President and Publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal. Thank you, Michael, for being such a champion in our community and for shaping our region through the work of OBJ as our premier media business outlet. I extend regrets from our President and CEO, Su-Ling Ching, who wishes us a very productive morning. It's a privilege to welcome you all on behalf of Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, the Ottawa Board of Trade, and the Ottawa Business Journal to our sold-out September Mayor's Breakfast. We hope you had a fantastic summer, and Shana Tova to our friends celebrating Rosh Hashanah. Thank you to the team at the city for hosting us here at City Hall. We're happy to be gathered in the heart of our city on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We honor their enduring relationship with this land, and we recognize the contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, past, present, and future. If you're sharing on social this morning, our hashtag is #OttMayorBeFast. That's OTT Mayor BeFast. A warm welcome to our OBOT board members, Hugh Gorman, Kimberly Stone, Julie Lupinacci, and Melissa Reeves, and to our Ottawa Unlimited partner, Michael Crockett, President and CEO of Ottawa Tourism. And to our city councilors joining us this morning, Councilors Curry, Hill, Carr, and King, thank you for your leadership and service. And to our ambassadors, David Dunlap, Jared Goldsmith, Linda McCallum, John Nelson, and Walter Noble, thank you for championing our members and strengthening our network. On behalf of the business community, a special thank you to OBOT Pillar Partners joining us today, Enbridge Gas, Hydro Ottawa, OSEG, Colonnade Bridgeport, Deloitte, Keynote Group, and a special welcome to our newest partner, KPMG. Your leadership is driving the essential advocacy and economic agenda for our city. And a warm welcome to our special guest, Kyle Braatz, co-founder and CEO of Fullscript, an Ottawa success story. We were honored to name Kyle Ottawa's CEO of the Year back in 2022, and have been pleased to see his business and community leadership continue to grow. Thank you for being with us this morning. To all our members, partners, and volunteers, thank you for investing in a stronger business community. You are designing a more diverse, resilient, and vibrant Ottawa today and for the next generation. We at the Board of Trade stand with you, fulfilling our mission to represent the interests of our business community and driving economic growth. Over the summer, we've been working with our partners to address the impact of federal cuts, the need to diversify our economy, and the opportunity to advance the NCR as a national defense innovation hub. We have convened tables on education, energy, infrastructure, procurement, safety and security, and transportation, submitting recommendations for the federal budget consultations and presenting priorities to the NCR caucus. Our work continues on the Downtown Ottawa Action Agenda as the critical component of our city's future, generating revenue for city services and serving as a symbol of prosperity for investors, visitors, and talent. We are very encouraged to see progress in the Byward Market, on Lansdowne 2.0, and LeBreton Flats as anchors to our city core and investments in the future of our regions. All this and more can be found on our website at ottawabot.ca, including upcoming events and updates on Small Business Week and Ottawa Day at Queen's Park, a mission of Ottawa Unlimited and our OBOT Pillar Partners to meet with the Premier and other decision makers about the importance of Ottawa as an economic powerhouse in Ontario. On behalf of our OBOT board and members, we're honored to represent our dynamic business community and provide access to the resource, networks, and opportunity to influence the policies you need to thrive. We welcome every Ottawa business to join and to build our community with us. Now, let's begin the program by acknowledging the great organizations that make the Mayor's Breakfast possible. Our lead sponsor, Hydro Ottawa, our presenting sponsor, the Westin Ottawa, Algonquin College, Edelman, RBC, Commissionaires Ottawa, Enbridge, the Ottawa Senators Hockey Club, our global partners Oakwood and the Casino Lac Leamy, our AV partner Ottawa Print Services, our speaker gift sponsor Eamon Harnden, our coffee sponsor Capital Office Interiors, and our breakfast sponsor College La Cité. A big thank you to all these sponsors. Now please welcome our presenting sponsor today from the Westin Ottawa, Ross Meredith.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Worship, Kyle, I'm really looking forward to hearing your story, your entrepreneurial story, and also the philanthropic components of what you have done and continue to do. Really excited to hear more about that. And Mayor, your worship, thank you for welcoming us for breakfast this morning. If we behave, perhaps you'll invite us all back. It's a treat to be here. I promise that the best part of this morning is I'm going to be short. I'm going to share just a little bit about, I have the privilege of being the general manager of the Westin Ottawa and the Delta Ottawa. They added a hotel to me from my responsibilities a few years ago, so they said, Ross, your 6% pay increase and twice the work, and I somehow said, can I make it 7? And they said no. Anyhow, I just want to start by sort of thanking the Ottawa community, the business community, the local residents. Our 2 hotels have been in this market for a long time. We've been blessed with hosting presidents, kings, queens, sports teams, unfortunately, some politicians as well over the years. But regardless of that, it's been a treat to be sort of the 2 anchor hotels in the city of Ottawa for a long time. We have 700 associates that work for us. We welcome and visit over 300,000 guests every year, and we are proud to give back to the community where we can and support, particularly a lot of support and engagement with our friends at CHEO. So thank you for the support that the business community has given us and continues to give us. You choose us for conferences, events, social events, visit friends and family that are visiting us, and we appreciate that very much. We are embarking on, the 2 hotels are embarking on some significant capital investment in 2026. The Westin starting in November this year and the Delta starting in January. We will invest over $60 million in the 2 hotels. 2 different ownership groups, so they've both decided and committed to reinvesting in our city. Pretty significant capital dollars for the 2 hotels, and we're excited to what Delta and Westin 2.0, I guess it could be 3.0 or 4.0 based on the length of time they've been around. But really excited about what those hotels will be able to demonstrate and show and present within the next 12-month period. But it's not only the Westin and the Delta. When I think about the investment that tourism has in our city and the capital investment that's taking place, just at the top of my head, and I was sort of driving in this morning, a new build AC by Marriott Hotel, a new build Alt Hotel at the Ottawa International Airport, a new built Moxie Hotel opening soon, an addition to the Andaz, a shiny new Marriott Residence property coming out of the ground down towards the Delta, and a massive investment at the Hard Rock Cafe, just to name a few. The owners and investors in tourism are saying that Ottawa is a place to do business and invest, and I think it speaks to a little bit of that team Ottawa mentality. We've got some challenges, and the mayor knows that we talk about some of them now and then, and there's things that we all need to work on, but there's obviously and clearly a lot more things that are working well, and that a lot of things and a lot of reasons why people are choosing to invest in the city. So every one of those are a different ownership group, different investment decisions are being made, and some pretty massive capital investment. So excited what tourism and hospitality can be a significant part of the Ottawa economic fabric going forward. And just lastly, I have the privilege of sitting on the Ottawa International Airport Authority Board, and was excited to hear yesterday that, confirm yesterday that Air Canada has confirmed year-round flights between Ottawa and Heathrow. So thank you for everyone for choosing to fly out of Ottawa. For those of you who sneak in a car and drive to Montreal and get on a plane, it doesn't help us at all. In fact, we know who you are. Our data is so good that we know who you are. So please, as we, through our partners at Ottawa Tourism, who help invest in route development, what drives route development in Ottawa is demand. And so choosing to fly in and out of Ottawa rather than any of the other airports is absolutely an important piece. And our commitment is, from an airport position, is we're going to do our very best to expand route choices and delivery and availability and routes going forward, because I think that's what the business community has been asking for a long time. So thank you very much. Kyle, look forward to hearing your presentation, and have a fantastic day. Cheers. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to invite His Worship Mayor Mark Sutcliffe to the podium to welcome our special guest.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you for doing such a great job filling in for Su Ling. We won't tell Su Ling what a great job you did, because we don't want her to feel anxious. We want Su Ling to feel like we missed her, because we did. It's great to be with you. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis très heureux d'être ici et de vous accueillir ce matin à l'Hôtel de Ville. And I want to welcome you to the first Mayor's Breakfast of the fall. It feels weird to be talking about the fall, because it feels like it was just Canada Day and Blues Fest, and then I walked in here this morning and Santa Claus was here, so that felt really jarring. But before we go any further, I wanted to acknowledge that former Ottawa Mayor Bob Chiarelli is here this morning. Welcome to you, Bob. Bob was the first mayor of the amalgamated city of Ottawa in 2000 and has been a great leader in our community at the provincial level and the municipal level. And as well, today is Bob's birthday. So happy birthday, Bob Chiarelli. So yes, we are coming off a terrific summer in Ottawa. As Ross mentioned, it's a great time for the tourism and hospitality industry in our city, and we're grateful, Ross, to your leadership and to your company's decisions to invest in our city. Very, very positive news. Very excited about the extended year-round flight to London, and again, that is based on the fact that the flight that they introduced, the seasonal flight, was being used by people, and it demonstrated there was a market for it, so that's very positive. But this was a terrific season for tourism in Ottawa. As you know, we hosted world-class events, including Ironman Canada, and our friends at Ottawa Tourism, who are here today, have shared that this July was the best July ever for tourism in Ottawa, and this August was the best August ever for tourism in Ottawa. So that's great news for our city. It's great news for hotels and restaurants and downtown businesses. And I wanted to say thank you to the team at Ottawa Tourism and all the folks in the tourism industry, the team at the Rogers Centre and at the airport, and all the other people who work so hard to make those results happen. Very, very positive things are going on. I just wanted to share with you as well a couple of highlights about some things that are happening at City Hall. It's going to be a very busy fall as we continue to build a stronger economy and a stronger community, and I'm very pleased to work alongside my colleagues on City Council, some of whom are here today: Ralston King, David Hill, Marty Carr, and Kathy Curry. And we collaborate with the other levels of government. Premier Ford was in Ottawa on Monday of this week. Just over a week ago, I met with Prime Minister Mark Carney, and we're continuing to work with our federal partners on a number of initiatives to support downtown Ottawa and the Byward Market and to support our local economy. So the work is continuing on that. And last week, I made two very important announcements. First, I pledged that by 2030, we will end youth homelessness in Ottawa. Je me suis engagé à ce que d'ici 2030, nous mettions fin à l'itinérance chez les jeunes à Ottawa. There's nothing more important than the health and safety of our young people. So this is something, I know there's people from Youth Ottawa here today. This is something we have to do. We must do this. And we're going to work with wonderful community partners, including the Alliance to End Homelessness and Youth Services Bureau. I know Nina is here from Youth Services Bureau this morning. We're going to work with all these great organizations to make this happen. The other thing that happened last week is that we launched our Housing Action Plan. I don't usually use props, but here's one right here. Nous avons contacté les personnes qui construisent des maisons dans notre communauté et leur avons demandé quoi faire. We reached out to the people who build homes in our community, some of whom are here today. We asked them what we need to do, and based on their recommendations, we are now moving forward with 53 specific actions to accelerate approvals, streamline regulations, eliminate and defer fees, and cut red tape. So we're going to make it easier to build homes in Ottawa, to build homes faster, and to build homes cheaper. We are saying yes to housing in Ottawa. Nous disons oui au logement à Ottawa. And we're also working very hard on the budget. Nous travaillons fort sur le budget de 2026. It's kind of unusual because we're working on the budget during our normal cycle, but the federal government's working on their budget right now too because it's late. We're not normally working on our budgets at the same time. But in the budget that we are bringing forward, I am recommending that we continue with the work that we've been doing this term of council, and I'm recommitting to my promise to make Ottawa safer, more reliable, and more affordable. So we're investing in core priorities in areas like public safety, public transit, affordable housing, and repairing our roads and sidewalks. And we're keeping tax increases as low as possible. I do not support Toronto-style tax increases of 9 or 10%. We won't have that in Ottawa. We're making record investments. Thank you. Because we found savings and efficiencies at City Hall, we are able to make record investments in OC Transpo. We're going to be launching the eastern extension of the LRT within a few months. It'll bring light rail to Orleans. And when the province uploads our LRT system, we will be able to reinvest billions of dollars into building better transit for everyone. We're also investing in policing and paramedics. This year alone, the number of level 0 events in our city where no ambulances were available has dropped by 80%. That's a huge improvement. We need to keep going. We've also opened a new police station to serve the Byward Market. We're hiring more police officers to serve the entire community. We are moving to a district policing model to better serve every part of our city. These are all big steps forward on public safety. And the team from Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group is here today. We are continuing our work to revitalize Lansdowne Park and finish the work that started a decade ago. We have a very strong plan to invest in Lansdowne, create a new, exciting event center, replace the aging Northside stands, and add hundreds of housing units to the site. And the net cost of that is actually less than the cost of doing nothing. So we must move forward on that. So lots of exciting things are happening in our city, and I will continue to keep you posted on that. But I'm very excited to welcome our guest this morning, Kyle Braatz, who, as you already know, is the co-founder and CEO of Fullscript. He's transformed the company into one of North America's leading digital health platforms, serving over 100,000 healthcare providers and millions of patients across the continent. And as Kara mentioned, he was Ottawa's CEO of the Year a couple of years ago. And what has really impressed me about Kyle in the conversations I've had with him over many years is how deeply committed he is to our community and to the well-being of our people. He and his wife, Rachel, donated $2 million to the Ottawa Senators Community Foundation, which is really remarkable. Thank you, Kyle. And You know, I've known Kyle for more than 10 years, since he was chosen for the 40 under 40, and he was eligible for that until a couple of years ago, but he got chosen like 10 years ago. So he's been a great leader in our community, and he's doing wonderful things. So please help me welcome Kyle Braatz. Welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Before
great
we
to
get
see you.
started, your worship. That's the
Yeah.
first time I've heard that.
That's the first,
yeah,
not the first time I've heard it.
How does it feel being called your
Yeah.
worship?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Yeah.
I try at home to get called your worship.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, so I guess I got to become the mayor
Yeah.
for my wife to call me your worship.
Where it's really weird is when I'm introduced that way in a church or,
Yeah.
But Kyle, thank you for doing this. Congratulations on all your success. And we'll talk in a moment about your commitment to Ottawa, which you and I have spoken about many times. So thank you for that as well. But let's share your backstory with everybody here. You grew up in London, Ontario,
Yep.
right? So how did you end up in Ottawa?
So I grew up, my dad was a firefighter, and actually I'm glad my buddy Box isn't here, because he always makes fun of me whenever I tell my story, because he's heard it so many times, but I guess it's my story, so I gotta keep telling it the same way. I grew up in the fire department, and I loved the culture of the fire service, the camaraderie. I loved the way they lived in extremes, where you could be at the fire hall and joking around and goofing around, and then a call comes in, and it's straight to business. And for me, I wanted to be a part of that culture. And to fast forward to Fullscript, I think a lot of our culture is actually modeled after that. And I talk often about greatness coming in extremes. And I think the extremes of being, goofy and having fun and making people laugh, all the way to going saving lives, like that's where, greatness lives. So my plan was always to be a firefighter. My dad said, before you join the fire department, like, you're going to school. And so I chose the Telfer School of Management. I came here with no plans of like succeeding in business. It was get my degree and go back home. So I think I spent more time at Father and Sons than I did at any classroom. And then someone close to me, my granddad, he passed of cancer. And when he passed of cancer, I decided I want to do something to honor his life. And a few of my friends and I, we decided, hey, we're going to cycle across Canada. And I think we woke up in the morning after kind of coming up with this idea, maybe over a glass of vodka or two. And I said, that's not very inspiring, right? When you think about inspiration, like individuals like Terry Fox, that's inspiring. 4 semi-athletic dudes cycling across Canada, that's not going to inspire anyone. We're not going to actually raise any money. We're not going to make any impact. So we decided to build it more like a business. Let's build a brand around this thing. Let's align with firefighters across the country to be our distribution into every single town, because they're more susceptible to cancer based on the toxins they face. Let's actually build a brand that we can get sponsors behind. Let's go into every single town and tell the story of inspiring Canadians, and tell their story in a way that, let's not talk about the cancer. Let's talk about the individual and how they inspired people close to them. So we built this thing from the ground up, and I took a year off school, and I spent every day building this thing. We cycled across Canada, honoring inspiring Canadians, and we raised $150,000 for the Canadian Cancer Society. And for me, I was like, okay, this is what I love doing, building something from nothing. So I actually went back to school more invigorated. While I was in school, we started a web development company called NetGen that kind of evolved into a company called Simple Story Videos, which is still, running today. And for me, the building of Simple Stories, I started to feel the same sort of feeling I had when I was building the not-for-profit. I love the camaraderie. I love building the team. But it felt like I was missing impact, right? And for me, impact was 2 things. It was helping people, and, Fullscript's mission of helping people get better. Like, I can get up every single day and do that. And then it was, the impact of scale. It's hard to scale service-based businesses, and so we wanted to build software. So we basically, decided at that point, we would do something that we could do for the rest of our lives. We decided to sell, that business and move on to something else, which ended up being Fullscript.
Okay. And we'll get to that part of the story in a second, but just cycling across Canada, let's talk about that. What was that experience like, and what did you gain from it?
Yeah, it kind of confirmed that we live in the greatest country in the world. And, no matter where you are in Canada, there's all these different pockets of culture. But a Canadian is a Canadian. So it was really fitting that the name of the organization was Typically Canadian. And actually, we defined a typical Canadian not by age, background, it was defined by courage, willpower, determination when faced with things like cancer, and that's what defined a Canadian. So everywhere we went, the scenery was beautiful, but most importantly, the people were beautiful. It was just amazing, the relationships we got to build at each one of our stops, and it was pretty special. It's something that, me and my three friends, my dad, who actually, it's a pretty cool story, and it kind of shows the bond of the fire department. My dad ended up driving the RV across the country with us, and he was trying to get, a path to being able to do this through, taking all his sick days, all his vacation, kind of piling it together, and the administration decided he couldn't do that. And they decided a week before we were going to go. And every single one of his teammates stepped up and said, we'll work for you, and you're not paying it back. And so, just those kind of moments, I think, were really, really special.
That's very special. Before we get to Fullscript, what I loved about Simple Story Videos, the company you co-created when you were still in university, right, was that it, as the name suggests, you took a very simple approach. You were creating a solution where at that time it was not as easy as it is today, using AI and other tools that are out there to make a video to put on your website or to put on the internet or on social media to tell a quick story about something. And you simplified that process. You made it easier to do that, and it wasn't just the technology side of it, but the storytelling side of it that was important. So I feel like there's some really clear business lessons in that, because we all get, muddled in the narrative that we're trying to share. We overcomplicate it, and you guys found a way to break through on that.
Yeah, and that story was really interesting because we actually started in web development, and it was kind of in a time when web development was getting commoditized early. And so I kind of looked at my co-founder, we got to do something different. So we actually went to Algonquin College and said, who's your best student when it comes to videography? So we hired that individual. We literally didn't know what we'd do with them. We were, playing around making video, and then Aidan Mersey, who runs Fellow today and Fluidware, and very successful entrepreneur in the Ottawa community. He came to me and said, can you do this explainer type video? And I look at Gabe, I said, could you do something like this? He's like, yeah, I think so. So we did that, and to your point, it was the first time where in a service-based business, you actually could almost productize the videos, because there's kind of a knack and a process to telling good story. And so we built this thing. That night we said, man, there's something here. We built a landing page. We branded it Simple Story Videos. We bought $5,000 in Google AdWords, and the thing went from 0 to a 7-figure business in months. And it was because of the simplicity of it all, right? And this is the challenge that most companies have, is how even I still struggle to tell the Fullscript story and the Fullscript elevator pitch in a simple way. I should go back to Simple Stories and get a video done for myself.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to ask you to do that, because before we talk about how you created Fullscript and about some of the success, I actually want you to describe in simple terms what it is and what it does.
Yeah, so maybe before I do that, I'll just kind of describe what our thesis is for healthcare. And I think being an outsider to healthcare was actually a real advantage to me, because I got to go in and look at things and say, what makes sense? And so for us, as I started to explore healthcare, especially in the US, I started to see, it makes sense to focus on the root cause. It makes sense to prescribe exercise, lifestyle change, nutrition, supplementation, all driven by comprehensive diagnostics. When you look at healthcare, a lot of the technology that was being built was focused on acute care. It was always a point in time. And for me, I'm healthcare should always be on. It's a journey. And then the third part of our thesis was that it's best with a practitioner. And so for us, we realized there is no infrastructure to support doctors practicing this way. So in 2011, 2012, when we started exploring this market, there was this realization that this, to me, is where healthcare is going to go, but there's no one building for this market. And so for us, it was, we can build that infrastructure. We can be that operating system. So for Fullscript, we make it really easy for practitioners to create and deliver comprehensive care plans that include nutrition, exercise, supplementation. We make it really easy for them to order personalized lab tests from blood labs like Life Labs here in Canada to Quest in the US, all of the specialty labs you can think of, so for gut health, genetics, etc. We make it really easy for the practitioner to do that in seconds, right? Like how do you, that's one of the challenges in whole person care, which is what we serve, is how do you deliver a comprehensive care plan? How do you interpret lab results and do all of this in a timely manner? Because the majority of these practitioners are spending 30, 40, 50 minutes. We're helping them do that in 5 minutes. And then on the patient side, we make it really easy to fill and refill their protocol. We become the source of truth for their journey, and we support them along that journey and make sure that they're adherent, make sure that they see the results, make sure that they know they're making progress, and we connect that right back to the doctor so they can stay connected to their practitioner as well.
So it's a platform that the practitioners and the patients sign on to, and then they can both use it, basically.
And you said 100,000, but we're actually up to 125,000 practitioners now. So
Just since I said that. Wow.
yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Probably 500 more
Yeah.
since you said it.
Rapidly growing. So if you told me that company existed today, my assumption would be that it was started by a bunch of people from the healthcare field. Why was it started by a guy who cycled across Canada and wanted to be a firefighter?
Yeah, and I think I'll go back to it. I think it was the ability for, most people who are in an industry, they're too close to it. And what they see is the way things are done instead of saying, hey, like, how should things be done? And I think, like, when I everything I look at in this world, I probably take more of a first principles view, is not what is this, like, what should it be and what makes sense. And I would say, like, in our early days, no one saw this, right? Like, I always refer to myself as one of the fundraisers in the world because I could not raise capital for this business because no one saw this as the future. And then fast forward, 12, 13 years, patient demand for whole person care is off the charts. Everywhere you look, people are taking control of their health. They're using wearables. They're actually, going and getting, especially in the US, they're going and getting async blood tests and taking control of their health. Their expectations of every practitioner is, I want you to support me in my care journey. I don't want just a pharmaceutical for the sake of a pharmaceutical. And by the way, we support all parts of care. Like in our platform, we are the source of truth for the medications you're taking, the supplements you're taking. We're not against pharmaceuticals and surgery and all those things. It's just a matter of what's first. If you can avoid surgery, you can avoid supplement or pharmaceuticals, why not? And I think that's, a really important part of the future of care.
Now, along the way, not too many years into your journey with Fullscript, you had an opportunity to sell the business, and you actually wanted to sell the business. You were hoping the deal would happen, and it didn't. And that turned out to be a very good thing in the end.
Yeah,
right?
a very good thing. Yeah, so I think the entrepreneurial journey is extremely hard. You go through a lot of roller coaster and emotions, and we were running a business that was doing extremely well from a growth and revenue perspective, but maybe this goes back to being the best fundraiser ever. We were at a place where we needed more capital. And it was at a time where I had, my wife and I had about $20,000 in credit card debt. We weren't able to afford our mortgage. We made a lot of sacrifices along the way. Like, we're not having kids until we can afford it. We're not going to, do the things that we're not going to vacation. We weren't living our lives the way that, you want to live your lives. We were making the sacrifices it takes to build a big business. And in 2015, our partner came to us and decided to make us an offer to acquire the business. And for me, it was either do that or lay off half our staff. And when you're a team of 15, 30 people, I can't even remember exactly how many people we had back at the time. It was back in 2015. Like, the idea of letting go of those teammates, the people that got you here, is like devastating. And so for 5-7 days before the deal was going to close, they backed out. And I remember going to Petite Bill's. If anyone is in the Westboro area, it's a great restaurant, and Terry and fellow Newfoundlanders are there. So that was kind of one of our, I'm like a Cheers guy where everyone knows your name. So like Petite Bill's close to home, Whalesbone close to the office. We actually called Whalesbone the 8th floor. We only had 7 floors in our office, but I had my place to go, meet at the 8th floor. So I went to the Petite Bill's, and I had a good cry. And Terry called my CFO to come get me. It was like that kind of like moment. And it wasn't because I wasn't crying or upset for myself and my wife because I knew we could figure it out. I was upset because the next morning I'd have to walk in and, let go of people that matter to me. And these are people, like in those early days, everyone's family. You know every single, like, what you know the challenges they face outside of work. And so I walked in there and I took the group of people that we were gonna, that I was gonna keep plowing away with, and I said, listen, this is gonna be one of the hardest days of our lives. But I'm gonna tell you right now, one day we're gonna buy those. And fast forward 7 years, we did. Which is pretty exciting, and so it was kind of bittersweet because we ended up buying them for exactly 10 times the amount they were going to buy us for, and so just to have that kind of connection, it was really, really special.
Great story. What's the experience been like building this company in Ottawa in particular? Because you're very committed to Ottawa, and you've talked as well about the need to build the technology ecosystem here and for successful companies and successful entrepreneurs like you to reinvest in startups in Ottawa. But what's the experience been like for you building the company in Ottawa?
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa is a special place for talent. Right? I think when you build a company, the most important thing is the people that you surround yourself with and the team you have. And so we were lucky because, Shopify was building their business right ahead of us. And I got to meet some of the founders and co-founders and build a relationship with those individuals. And I think the Shopify team was a good example of individuals that always had time for entrepreneurs and would always help them. But more than that, I think they also just inspired you to think big. And I loved, and I think I was enamored with the contrarian view because it really aligned with my own values. So one, watching that, I think was really critical because it allowed you to think big. It allowed you to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to do it my way rather than the way it's done. Second, I think they built an amazing talent pool for us, right? And actually it was such a competitive advantage for us being behind Shopify all the time because as they got bigger and more, bureaucratic, it gets harder to kind of keep that startup culture. We got to say, hey, we're the next ones. Come recreate that magic at Fullscript. So we've been able to really create really, I think a good talent pool. I think we have amazing universities and colleges that continue to produce great talent. And for me, like building in Ottawa, that's really what it's all about, is the community of talent. Like all of our customers, we have very little customers in Ottawa. Our Canadian business is 2% of our entire, revenue stream. So we're, we'll do over 1.1 billion in net revenue this year, and 30 million of it will be Canadian. And that's in US dollars. So it's a very small part, but the really key to Ottawa was the mentors and the people here, and then I'd say the talent pool that we can pull from.
And you've chosen to live here, to invest here, not just in business, but in the community. What is it that you love about Ottawa?
I mean, I love bow hunting, and there's some great bow hunting land that's just in the valley there. I'm a valley boy now. So that counts as Ottawa, right? Ottawa Valley?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I think it's one community. Like I feel like this is a place that you feel, maybe it goes back to my Cheers moment where I like to have my petite bills or my whale's bone. I feel like this is a community where you're accepted and you feel like you belong and you don't feel like an outsider. And maybe it's, you look at like the Torontos and some of those other communities, like that feels more like the rat race and it feels like it's a competition. And I prefer to be a collaborator, to be a part of something bigger than myself. And I just think we feel like that, like we have that here in Ottawa. I also think like it's beautiful. I'm a view guy, so everywhere we go, my wife and I'm like, hey, we need to make sure there's a view. And I think Ottawa is just a beautiful community, a beautiful city to live in.
Yeah, very well said. I agree. So what do you hope for with regard to Ottawa, and what do we need to do going forward to continue to be a place where another Fullscript or 2 or 3 can evolve?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're doing a lot of those things and you call them out, like public order, public safety matters a lot. I think how do we create and invigorate entrepreneurs to want to build here? I think we're doing it too. I mean, Fullscript hosts all the Youth Ottawa stuff. It's how do we actually inspire the youth? I think that's one of the things that I feel is really important, and it was touched on the community work that my wife and I do. We've that's kind of become a part of our DNA from when we were very young. And I think that's also really important, right? And I always talk about at Fullscript kindness being a competitive advantage. And this maybe goes back to like greatness comes in extremes, where you can be kind and a good person, but you can also be ruthless and want to win. And I think that's true of Fullscript, but I think that kindness side of things gets lost in communities. And so for us, it's like, how can we inspire others to want to do things, right? And it doesn't have to be big. Like you mentioned the donation that we made. That's relative for us, and it's something that's important for us. But it doesn't matter how much you donate, from $2 million to $200. Doesn't matter how much time you put in, from 40 hours a month to 1 hour a month. It's actually if that 1 hour a month, if every single person here actually did that and they weren't, all of that starts to compound. And all of a sudden you create a community of builders and leaders that are going to make the community better, going to help a lot of people get better. And I think that's probably one of the most important things, and the things that Rachel and I are so passionate about, is how can we, one, inspire young people to get involved early. And we got involved early because of different impacts in our lives and people in our lives that inspired us. And that's been probably our secret to wanting to do things, is every time we get involved and do something, it's because of someone we love or someone we care about or someone that inspires us to want to do something bigger.
There's been a dynamic in Ottawa as the technology community has grown and evolved, and it's that's been a big part of our city for many, many years. It's going great right now, and there have been a number of different waves to our success in high tech in Ottawa. But throughout that time, as I've observed it, there's been a dynamic where these are companies whose customers, and you're an example of this, you mentioned only 2% of your businesses in Canada, your customers are international, they're not in Ottawa, and so those companies have hired people in Ottawa, but they haven't always been big investors in Ottawa and big philanthropists in Ottawa because their market is elsewhere. They see themselves as international, not as local. That's not the decision you took. You chose to become philanthropic right here in Ottawa, to commit to the local community, and I'm grateful to you for doing that. But why did you do that?
I don't even know if it was a choice by design or if it goes back to those inspirational moments, right? So I spoke about the bike ride. It was my granddad. My best friend in university was murdered. We started a charity called Noel's Gift, and that's actually for the Lambton County, and it's to help kids grow up great. That charity her parents now run, it's raised over $5 million for kids to grow up great there. Our good friend Ryan Forbes Diesel passed away of cancer. We instantly wanted to do something to help his wife. She started Diesel's Army. We worked with the Sens Foundation to buy 4-season tickets to host someone from the Ottawa Hospital in CHEO every single year and deliver them a jersey and just get away from the pain, the pain and the suffering of treatment, and just have a night with your family. And that was what his wife did for Diesel, and we wanted to do that for every single Ottawa Senators game. Being at the arena, we got to meet the Bell family, and we got to watch Griffin Bell run around that arena like he owned the place while battling cancer. And when you see that stuff, it's just like, we want to do something. And so that's why we got involved with, CHEO Kids these days and joined the campaign cabinet. So I don't know if it was like a conscious choice or if it was just kind of a reaction to the moments that happened around us.
And what are your priorities when it comes to your philanthropy? I know youth is a big part of it, but what are the priority areas for you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Our priority probably is going to be and will always be CHEO. I think we're in a really interesting spot with the Fullscript team and a younger generation who are accumulating wealth for the first time. And one of our objectives is, how do we inspire those individuals to start giving back now? And most of those individuals are at a point in time where they have young kids. And so they're the perfect target market to start inspiring to give back to CHEO and to youth in Ottawa. My wife sits on the board of L'Arche Armprior, which is near and dear to her heart. But I think that's one of the things that we've realized over time is, like, if you want to make big impact, like, focus matters. So I'd say CHEO, and then I think for us, cancer has been a big kind of thing that's ravaged a lot of relationships and lives of people close to us, and that's another area that we like to focus some attention.
You chose to become one of the partners in the Ottawa Senators when the new ownership group took over a couple of years ago now. What made you decide to do that?
I always dreamed of being in the NHL. I was never good enough, and I realized that at a fairly young age as a third-line grinder. No, and you know, I think it's just one of those things where in life there's some things that feel unattainable, and you always dream. I mean, like when we were in, for Fullscript, we only raised a couple $1 million. We basically bootstrapped the company along the way, and we did it with a group out of Arizona. And one of the things that I made them pledge was that, you know, if Fullscript ever makes it, you know, you're going to take 10% of your proceeds and we're going to buy the Arizona Coyotes. Well, it's too late now because there's no team there. But, you know, this was the next best thing. And quite frankly, meeting Michael Andlauer and seeing what kind of a leader he is, I think like he felt like a kindred spirit when I met him. Like the entrepreneurial mindset, humble as can be, no ego, and he cared about hockey. And so for me to have a guy like that sits in front of you and says, all I really care about is winning a Stanley Cup, I'm like, I want to follow that guy. It's actually probably the first time in my life I actually said something like that, because I've always been the entrepreneur, the one driving things forward. But watching Michael and getting to know him, I was like, I want to follow him. And it was, you know, actually Rachel was one of the ones. At one point I was hemming and hawing, and she said, you're going to regret it if you don't do it. And thank you for that push.
Yeah, great decision. And what's that experience been like over the last couple of years, being part of a major professional sports operation?
Yeah, you know, go back to the word community. Like, I have met some of my greatest friends, the relationships we've built. It's such a great platform for community efforts and giving back. I think partnering with the Sens Community Foundation has been like, you know, really a really special for all of us. So, and I'd say, you know, it's an excuse to spend more time with my wife and my friends and my family, right? It's like we have 41 games a year, and you try to get together with people throughout the year, but you have work, you have family, you have all these things. Where do we meet? Do we do dinner? And it's like, okay, now we have 41 excuses to get together with friends and family or have a date night. And I think that's actually been a cool forcing function just to get more, I guess, out there rather than stuck in Arnprior.
You could have just bought season tickets.
I know.
So I got to say this about you. So, you know, I've never worked with you, but we know each other a little bit, and I've spent some time with you. There's kind of there's a calmness to you, and I don't think somebody meeting you for the first time would think right away, this is a, you know, hard-driving, successful CEO and co-founder of a billion-dollar enterprise and co-owner of a professional sports franchise. So, so tell me how you kind of maintain that and how you make it all work, because you know, you have a lot on the go, the business, the other investments you've made, your family, which is a huge priority, obviously, and your community work. So how do you make that all work?
Yeah, it probably comes back to me, like, again, greatness comes in extremes. And ego is one of the things that we try, like, that's one of the things that we don't allow at Fullscript. And I think you can be humble but confident, right? So when you think about the extremes, you can be humble. But so I think those two things work and allow, you know, us to be successful. You know, I mentioned, you know, kindness but ruthless. Like, I want to win. I care a lot, but there's the moment in time where it's like you got to push hard. And when I look back at, like, you know, it's about getting outcomes, right? So there's a lot of leaders who think the only way to get an outcome is to be an asshole. It's like you can be ruthless and have high expectations and demand things of people, but you can still be a good human about it. I mean, at Fullscript, we've rebuilt our executive team probably 3 or 4 different times. And the idea is that we're growing so fast. You know, our objective as leaders in the business is we got to grow faster than the company. We got to continue growing faster than the company. But some people hit a wall. And I think there's a lot of leaders who will be like, okay, this person's not doing their job anymore. I'm frustrated with them. I'm going to let them go. And you forget all of the amazing things that person did to get you to here. And so for me, I look at those individuals and those inflection points where we got to change the team, and I say, thank you. Like, thanks for everything you did to get us here. You're a Fullscripter for life. I care about you. I hope you're successful, but it's time to bring someone else, because at the end of the day, at Fullscript, it's all about what's for the greater good. And so I think there's just, if you care about outcomes and not the optics of your kind of your personality or the optics of you know, again, being that asshole, every single executive I feel like they're still my friend. There's still, like, hasn't been one person that's left Fullscript that I feel like they've left with a sour taste in their mouth. And quite frankly, a lot of them leave with relief when it's time to make that next step. So I think it's a combination of probably those things.
Okay, well, that's a great philosophy summed up right there. Very impressive. Kyle, thank you. This has been a great conversation. But again, thank you for what you've built in Ottawa, for choosing to invest here. And thank you to you and Rachel for everything you've done for our community and continue to do for our community, and for the fact that you've decided to make some pretty significant investments in our city on the philanthropic side, which again, not something everybody does. So we're very, very grateful to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to talk to us about the CHIO Kids These Days campaign, email me at kyle@fullscript.com, and happy to sit down with you and explain what we're doing over there.
Wonderful. Kyle Braatz, thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. I want to take a second to recognize and thank Kyle for being here this morning. Kyle, there was a bit of a buzz in the city about you speaking, as evidenced by the sellout crowd. And I was at a dinner last night, and someone said, you know, do you know Kyle? And I said, well, let me tell you a little bit about his story. I touched on the firefighter story, probably told the fathers and son joke that you often pull out. But I concluded with this observation, which I think is kind of supported here today, that to have an entrepreneur in our city achieve this much success at such a young age and be so firmly rooted in our city is very exciting for you, for Fullscript, and the City of Ottawa. Big round of applause for Kyle Braatz. And I'm going to call on our good friends at Eamon Harnden to come forward. JD, where are you? Here he is. So we have a gift, a token of our appreciation, Kyle. Here you go. All local products made in Ottawa. Come step down here, Kyle, and your worship. I know. No, I'm not talking. I'm talking to Mark, not you. You can talk to your wife about that. That's not my business. There he is, Kyle Braatz. And Kyle, I should have asked you to do this while you're up here. I'm going to get you to draw a business card for a signed Ottawa Senators jersey. Brendan, do you want to come down and we'll present this? Who is the winner of the Ottawa Senators jersey? It is Suzanne Hopkinson. Suzanne Hopkinson from Harmony House. There's Suzanne, come on. Tell me you're an Ottawa Senators fan. Absolutely. Okay, there we go. We'll give it to you then. Thanks to our good friends at the Ottawa Senators. So exciting to see the preseason here. The first puck drop of the regular season is just a few weeks away. Stick with us. I got a few comments, but we're ending up today. This is a bit of a surprise. We have a 2002 CEO of the Year. We will 2022. You know, you get old and you mess up decades. Thank you, Mark. It's true. People, anyway. The point is, we are about to announce in just a few minutes the 2025 CEO of the Year, who is in the room here with us today. So build up that anticipation just to keep you in your seats. A couple OBJ news. I just want to point out a couple people from my team. Where's Victoria Stewart? Victoria Stewart up there, VP Sales and Marketing. Anyway, Susan, thank you for being here. So thanks for the OBJ team. We're going to hand out some newspapers in just a few minutes. It will be our CEO of the Year issue. So we're holding those back. They're flipped on a cover or something like that. I also want to announce that OBJ is approaching its 30th anniversary, and we're embarking upon several changes. One of those changes is a change in our printing format. So this will be, after 30 years, we anticipate the last newspaper that we print. We'll be back in February as a beautiful new glossy magazine for the city on a 5 times a year basis. So stay tuned for that. We're also announcing, launching, that is, our Best Offices magazine this week. Finalizing work on the 2025 Giving Guide will be launched at the Phils, the Philanthropy Awards, on November 19th. And also, OBJ is just ramping up its research phase for the Book of Lists. So a very popular product that's existed